We filled every nail hole, spackled, sanded, and repainted every wall before we moved out. Now, you give me another tenant who does that.
Okay, I can.
Exactly,
But no.
exactly.
Okay, this suit is about damages to a rental property that I owned.
Yes.
It is a single home, Dutch colonial, about 80 years old with a lot of character. The tenants rented from June of 2015 through September of 2019. For the first 3 or 4 years, we got along just fine. They typically paid the rent a little late. I never charged a late fee. The rent started at $1,850. It was merely increased to $1,880 through the 4.5 years. That stove is about a year old. Within a year, the stove was absolutely destroyed. You can see on the middle one is a close-up of the window, the oven window, and it was just impossible.
That's not our stove. That was not the stove in the property. Number one, it was replaced the first year we moved in. We moved in June and it died right before Christmas. He did replace it. However, that's not the stove. I have a photo of the stove. It was silver on top, not black. Where's the silver top of that stove? That's not the same stove, Your Honor.
Is that true?
Not to mention the fact that...
This is the stove that was in the unit when I came in.
And if he replaced it, well then why is it still showing on his MLS listing when he sold it? That's funny.
You're saying this is the stove that he put in, that he replaced?
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
And
The
it's still,
stove-
yeah.
And the stove was clean when we left it.
So
And
why are you showing me a picture of what is obviously a different stove than that?
Clearly.
I'm sorry, Your Honor, but it isn't a different stove. It's the stove that was there.
Well,
that
no,
I
I'm
replaced.
looking at it.
Can
That
I-
is
can I see
silver,
the-
and the
Thank you.
picture of that stove, there's no silver.
Thank you. And if you go back...
The silver is on the door. The door is open.
Really?
You
Because the
can't see
knobs
the
are
stove.
also on the front of the top of the stove. You can see the knobs directly
Okay,
above
time
the
out.
stove.
Time out. I'm walking over there.
Yeah, come on over, Jerry.
No.
Check it out. So if you look at the dials on the stove where you operate the top of it, do you
Yes.
see where they are?
Yes. Okay, go back to the other picture.
Where's those knobs? I cooked on that
I
stove for
took
4
them
years,
off.
Your Honor.
I had
Where's
to
the
take them
knobs?
off to
Where's
clean
the
it.
posts? Where's the little metal posts that the rods go on?
I had to take all that off to
It's
try
awful
and
funny
clean it.
because that's not the only thing that he
That's a
claims he
different
repaired
stove.
that are still in the property.
The tenants did a lot of painting without authorization. They painted all of the kitchen cabinets, they painted the refrigerator, and they painted just about every room. And if you look
facelift.
really closely, you'll see that the refrigerator had already been scratched and damaged prior to her doing whatever it is that she did. The refrigerator was ruined.
So, Your Honor, that refrigerator was there when we moved in. There was rust all over the bottom of the refrigerator. The handle was broken on the refrigerator part. The freezer was okay, but the metal part. And when you grabbed it, it would actually pinch your hands, okay? So every appliance in the kitchen was black, except for the white, old refrigerator. So we gave it a facelift. I painted it to match everything else in the place. Yes, I put chalk on the front of that refrigerator. Chalkboard paint. I wrote on it, this is what it is, this is how you clean it. If you don't want to use it, you don't have to use it. And Mr. Snyder said that it was our responsibility to keep the house updated and maintained. And that as long as we left behind the paint, we left behind every single can of paint. Not to mention, Your Honor, we filled every nail hole, spackled, sanded, and repainted every wall before we moved out. Now, you give me another tenant who does that.
Okay, I can.
Exactly,
But no.
exactly.
Okay.
I have photos. If you could pull up photo 1 and photo 2, please.
Yes.
These are pictures of my living room, of the living room that we lived in, and this is what it looked like when we lived in it. Does that look like a house that was trashed, Your Honor? We lived in this house with our child. We took care of it as if it was our own. When something broke, we fixed it. When something needed attention, we did it. Because in the 4 years, Mr. Snyder never picked up the phone to say, hey, how's the property? Is there anything you need? In 4 years, he owned a property and did no upkeep or maintenance to it at all. Your Honor, I've owned a home for a year now, and all I do is maintenance and upkeep, because that's what you're supposed to do.
I noticed a lot of the damages you're claiming have to do with damages that are caused by pets. The law is clear that when tenants leave, in terms of taking damages out of a security deposit, that there's going to be normal wear and tear, and that can't be used as an excuse to keep part of the security deposit. There is a different level of normal wear and tear when the landlord permits, either because it's written permission or because it's the denial of a pet has been waived because it's been there for so long, you knew the pets were there, it's month to month, you had every single month an opportunity to tell them, hey, look, I don't want pets here, I don't want it, because it was month to month. And the fact that for 4.5 years, or a good portion of it, pets were there, and you never said the lease is over if you keep the pets there. And on your countersuit, I believe the rest of the security deposit, they would be entitled to have it returned. They should get back their security deposit less $1,880, 1 month's rent, and that will be because they made this house their home. This wasn't, I have seen cases of tenants
Thank you.
basically ripping the place up. This is a home. It's a family home. It's a home with kids. So I'm going to be very technical and say they should pay that final month's rent. You can then use that rent as you wish. But that could alleviate some of your concern about fixing some of the damages. On your countersuit,
Yes, sir.
to return of the security deposit, he is only required to return $970 to you. So I dismiss the plaintiff's suit. You're only entitled to $970 of the security deposit. The rest of the security deposit you keep.